Hey mamas, welcome to Modern Nurture, where mamas meet at the intersection of instincts and evidence. I'm your host, Jess, and today you're listening to one of the episodes in the Stay at Home Mom series. This is a series I recorded when I was about to become a stay at home mom after working in tech and engineering for 10 plus years. So I interviewed a bunch of moms who were in high demand careers and made the choice to become stay at home moms. We talk about why they made the decision, what kind of hurdles they had to overcome to be able to leave work and stay at home, and how the transition went, because it can be rough for some or all, and how the transition went, and how things have gone since then, any regrets, what they loved about it, and we talk to mamas in all seasons of life. We have a grandmother, we have mamas who are still in the thick of it with toddlers, and everything in between. So I got a lot out of these. I really enjoyed the conversations. I hope you will too. And if you enjoyed this kind of, real talk kind of conversation with just chatting with moms, comment real talk below, comment real talk on Instagram, and I will do more series like this. Thanks for listening. Let's get into it. Velma, thank you so much for joining me. We are here today to talk all things stay-at-home motherhood. Would you introduce yourself and then we'll get into a little bit about your experience?
Great. Thank you, Jessica. Yes, I'm thrilled to be here. My name is Velma Gench, and I'm known online as Mama Mabel. And I am a parent coach who helps parents, especially moms, learn to appreciate video games with their kids and connect instead of fight about beginnings, endings, and all the things in between.
That sounds super interesting and I'm excited to hear about that. Before we get there, I wanted to start with what were you doing before you became a mom or before you became a stay-at-home mom? What was your life like then?
Well, I lived in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I worked in environmental nonprofits. I was full time professional, wore heels, and went downtown.
Yep.
Yeah,
And so, were you still doing that when you had I don't know how many kids you have, when you had your first?
I have I
Okay.
have one child. He's 13 and a half now, and I
Okay.
was still doing that. I got 4 months maternity leave, and then I went back to work.
How did that feel? How did that go?
It did not go well. It did not go well. Um, I had a really, really big case of the supermom syndrome. So we were doing all the connected parenting things, co-sleeping, nursing, like baby wearing, all of it. And my son did not take a bottle, and he did not really
You are
sleep
describing
for.
my first 2 years with my daughter.
Yeah, it was rough. I lasted. I had a 45-minute commute on transit, and I lasted 6 weeks before I had my meltdown.
That's pretty long time.
That was it's like, because, working all day and then like nursing all night. It's like I wasn't sleeping.
Yeah.
So, um, I I remember trying to go to an Al-Anon meeting just to get some kind of support. And the Al-Anon meeting in Chinatown, I was working in San Francisco at the time, was not there. Like it had gotten canceled or moved, or I got more than likely I got the
Oh,
time wrong. And so I just started bawling and I walked downhill to Market and Third, and I just sat at a lamppost and started crying.
oh no.
Like I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I was exhausted.
How did your baby eat while you were working, by the way, if he didn't take a bottle?
Well, we tried all the bottles ever,
Okay.
and there was one that had the like really wide like nipple and like the very short and that one kind of worked. So he
Okay.
didn't eat a whole lot.
You got him through the day though.
He got through the day, but he didn't eat a whole lot, so he nursed a lot
At night.
at
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. So after that breakdown on Market and Third, how did What was the transition then to being done with the job?
Well, I went home that day and I talked it over with my husband and we did some math and I figured out that like after like paying the nanny and the transit costs, I was netting $20 a day.
Oh, geez.
And granted, I was getting health insurance, but I could like we could get health insurance through my husband's work. So it's like I was being
It's kind of a
driven
wash.
insane essentially
Yeah.
for $20 a day. It's like this does not seem worth it.
Yeah.
So I went in the next day and I gave my notice and I gave a generous notice, like 6 weeks notice, and like cleaned things up, wrapped things up, trained the next people, and then I began the stay-at-home mom journey.
And how was that transition?
Rough, actually. It was really rough, actually. My work was my identity.
Mm-hmm.
So um, I went I was extremely tired. So like I had like this phase of rest, and then I'm like, who am I? If I'm not working, who am I? What is my sense of worth in this world? So I like put all of that energy that I used to put into my work into being like super mom. And that didn't go well either. So I had an identity crisis at first. It was like, who am I without my work? And then I am super mom. And then I'm like, realized that that also burned me out and exhausted me. And so I began this really long journey of learning how to find my worth from being a human instead of a human being instead of human doing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
began to work on incorporating and rest. And that's been a journey for 10 years, like
Mm.
into my life so that I just don't have to do everything.
Yeah. So, how long would you say it took you before you felt in a rhythm or comfortable with being a stay-at-home mom? Do you feel comfortable
Uh,
today?
yeah, I'm comfortable today. Um, it was a little while. Like, I really did dive into like, oh, how do I maintain a house? And how do I do all the meal planning? And how do I do all the things that I'm supposed to do? And like there was the settling into the rhythm of that, and then there was like the better question is like, when did I actually feel like a healthy person?
Mm.
And that was several years later
Okay.
because I had to give up the whole making every single meal from scratch kind of thing
I see. I
to
see.
find some balance.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I am right now in my first couple of weeks of full stay-at-home motherhood. I was working.
Wow.
Yes. So I'm in the thick of, I feel like right now I'm in kind of a detox period where I don't quite know what my life is going to be. I don't know what to, like, I don't know what the daily rhythm should be. I know that my toddler needs structure, but I don't know what to do about that quite yet. So I feel like we're kind of in this like detox period where we're just, summer just started. So, we're trying to just do summer things and, like you said, you have to figure out the rhythm of cleaning your whole house and doing all the meals and things like that. Because I had help with that. I was working in tech, and so I had actually lived in the South Bay for several years, 6 years. We live in the Midwest now.
Me too.
Oh yeah, where are you at?
Missouri.
Okay, I'm in Michigan, so yeah, a little
Nice.
different winter, but yeah. Um, where was I going? Yeah, so just trying to figure out all the things that I had kind of outsourced in my life, and then
Hmm.
also figuring out how to just, be a mom and not have the other stuff going on. It's a lot. It's a lot to take on. So it's been really cool doing this episode, talking to different moms, and it's. I don't think I've
Yeah.
talked to one mom where it was an easy transition.
I don't think it is for any of us. And um, something that I wish, so something that I didn't figure out that I was doing until just the last couple of years that I wish I had known then was that I'm like, I had this idea that, like, ooh, I'm not working, so therefore I, and like, I should be working, I should be earning income, so therefore I have to do all the things for the house and the child and the family. I have to manage all of them. And so I took that on as as a way to pay for the privilege of being home with my kid.
Hey, mamas, I just wanted to pop in really quickly and let you know that I have written a children's book. It's called My Little Hands. This is an old proof copy. My new one's coming in the mail. It's called My Little Hands. It is inspired by Montessori practical life activities. And I've had this story in my head for a couple of years. It started when my daughter was a toddler, and I was setting up Montessori practical life activities with her, like getting a learning tower and letting her cut veggies with me and getting herself dressed and all of those types of things. So it just walks through the day and all the different things your child's little hands can do. It has a sweet little ending, and it also rhymes. I don't know if you know this, but rhyming is actually good for language development. And my kids love it. They also love realistic illustrations, and that's in here too. So if you want to support me, there's a link below to get a free copy of my book in exchange for a review. That would mean the world to me. And if you're catching this after the launch, then you can check out the Amazon link below too. I hope you check it out. I hope you love it. I can't wait to hear from you. Catch you later. And in case you're wondering why I'm kind of whispering, it's because I have my baby here in the carrier and he's sleeping very lightly. So I'm going to let him get back to a peaceful nap. So you took on kind of like entrepreneurial type stuff or other
No,
jobs or
I mean, I
something?
took on like all of the cooking, all of the shopping, all
Oh,
of the
okay.
laundry, all of the cleaning, all of the household bills and gardening and child labor, babysitter management, everything,
And
because I
then
felt
so
that was
so
my job.
how did you I guess what are you doing differently now?
Well, it does get easier as they get older.
Yeah.
So hold on to that. But um, what I wish I had done differently and what I am doing differently now is that I I wish that I had realized that, like, I didn't have to do it all and I shouldn't do it all. It was detrimental to myself, it was detrimental to my kid, and it was detrimental to his dad and our marriage.
So what's the alternative to
To
that as someone who's in the middle of about to be taking all of this on myself?
don't take it all on. Like, no, but so there's there's a book called Fair Play that came out about 2 or 3 years ago. And I started hearing circulation of the Fair Play lists about 10 years ago. It was in the works for a long time, and it is a collection of wisdom and experience from a bunch of moms everywhere. And the one of the universal experiences of moms, especially stay-at-home moms, or even moms, period, moms, is that they become the default home person. And that is exhausting. And so so one of the things I am doing differently is that I read Fair Play, and I am divorced, I am repartnered, and with my new partner, like, we implement Fair Play where we have the things that make a family run, our household run, and we pick which ones are important. And then we divide up the cards. And he has these cards and I have these cards. And what's really key is knowing that all time is created equal. So just because you're not earning money anymore does not make your time any less valuable than your partner's time. And the second part of that is that when you do divide up the cards, you get to hand over the conceptualization, the planning, and the execution
Mm.
of said card.
But see, I'm the concept person. I'm always the concept person.
Mm, I am too. I am the
Yeah.
planner. I am the planner. And so, like, it was really hard reading that book and seeing how part of the demise of my marriage was because wasn't able to turn enough over and to let it be done a
Mm.
different way. And not just letting it, and then another part is that for each card, for each bucket, the the two people who are in the household get to decide what the minimum standard of care is for that.
Mm.
So, like that was one of the missing pieces for me in the early days of being a stay-at-home mom, was like having getting us to agree on like what was an acceptable way to do things.
That
And
makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
yeah, it's a really big deal. So like right now, my partner is taking my kid to the doctor because he has the doctor card. And I have something else to do by talking to you.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, um, that's like, I so wish that I had had like these concepts and this resource 10 years ago, 12
That's
years
good
ago.
advice. Yeah, thanks for that. Um,
Yeah.
so you're still in it now. You said your son was
Hmm.
10 or 13?
13,
13. Okay.
13
And
and a half.
well, um, so after that difficult period, toddler years and things,
Yeah.
how did things change? How did things look? How do they look now?
Um, when my son was probably 3, I was like, did exchanged childcare with another family and went and got a very part-time job. And that was the point of that was not money. The point of that was like, ooh, I have these other parts of my brain that I get to use.
Okay, so that's when you
And I
started
could,
to feel like you were ready to kind of emerge and do
yeah.
something
And
outside.
it's been a slow emergence. And then he entered preschool and school, and then I had all of these hours to myself. And by that point, I was doing better at like allowing myself time to rest. So I did not fill them with a million things.
Mm.
Um, I did have an elderly mother-in-law to take care of and manage care for. So that was one thing that I had, and I was glad I had the time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's another topic for stay-at-home moms, is like, how do you do this like sandwich generation care for the olders and the toddlers? So that's a hard spot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then when my son was 7, this is when things really changed. Is when my son was 7, we moved from this Oakland, California to St. Louis, and I got a job, and I was working remotely, part
Mm.
time. Um, and that went pretty well because I had relaxed a lot by that time. My standards had gone down. I'd gotten more flexible, and my kid was a little more autonomous. I had a very high needs kid, and
Mm-hmm.
he didn't really play on his own until he was maybe 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, I'm still sometimes amazed that he like spends time by himself.
My daughter just turned 3, and I get little pockets of that where she'll go off and play by herself. Some days there's none of that. Some days she'll play for a long
Mhm.
time, and it's a crazy
Yeah.
gift when you can
Yeah.
just see her. You can see them like developing their interests and just the little thing. Like my daughter, she'll play with her little figurines of things, and she'll have them talking back and forth and like recreating conversations we have and stuff like that. It's so cute. Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt. Go ahead.
No, it's awesome. Like I love hearing stories. Like 3 is such a fun age. And
Mm-hmm.
it's still really, really hands-on and involved at that
Yes.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Um, so so then I worked, and then in 2020 I became full-time, and I left my then husband, and um we started homeschooling because of pandemic. So like there was like 2020, 21, like that, those were really, really, really hard years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as I was doing all the stay-at-home mom stuff and had a job and was getting a divorce and like also homeschooling.
Mm-hmm.
And I lasted through fall of 2022 before I had another like burnout meltdown. And it was really hard.
So then at some point you started the path of being a coach, which you're doing
Yeah.
now, right?
So,
So how did that come about?
well, when my son was little, like 18 months, I found Hand in Hand Parenting. I don't know if you've seen Hand in Hand Parenting, but they
Mm-mm.
have really, it's a nonprofit organization that is international that teaches 5 simple parenting tools that are based on listening and connection.
Hmm.
And that was one of the things that helped make life easier for me. And I became a certified instructor of Hand in Hand when my son was 3 to 4. So that is one thing I did when he went to preschool, is I started this program to become an instructor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started that when he was 3 and 4. And then the organization that I started working for in 2017 was actually Hand in Hand Parenting.
Okay.
And I became executive director for the last couple of years. And being executive director of anywhere is hard. So they're an amazing organization, and um, I wouldn't be where I am without the love and acceptance that is in as part of that community. The One of the core tenets there is every single parent is doing their absolute best in every single moment, and every single child is good and doing their best in every single moment. And our primary job is to connect and listen and let our kids know that we're there for them. And so after my burnout, when I'm like, okay, the last couple of years kicked my butt, I need a break. And it wasn't just the work, it was like all of life together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did take some time off. I took a good solid 6 months where I rested and allowed myself to just do some of the only the stay-at-home mom stuff.
Right.
And eventually I came to realize that I had found a unique spot where I I had figured out how to use the hand-in-hand parenting tools with my kid around video games. And video games and screens are such a struggle for so many parents,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't have to be. Like I have a kid who is responsive and responsible around screens. I can say, "Hey, it's time to come up to dinner." He's like, "Oh, okay." And he shuts things down and comes up to dinner. And that's just one small example of the way things can be. And so I'm like, well, other other people could probably use this information.
Right.
So that's why I'm known as Mama Mabel and like want to help parents with this.
Awesome. So
And
you started
as
playing video games with your son then?
Yes, I did. I spent the first couple of years just watching him play, and then I spent a good couple of years being really, really terrible at playing and really hating playing. And and I kept at it because being in connection with my kid was really, really important to me.
Hmm.
And this is something that was important to him, and I wanted him to know that like I loved him and I thought that he was good and what he was doing was good. And um, yeah, so now I I play by myself. I stream and I share what I learn with other parents. And my my kid has a Minecraft server with some of his friends from school. They just finished seventh grade, and they invite me on to play. So like I get to go play video games, Minecraft, with some young teenage boys. It's like, and it's fun.
Yeah, that's
So like
awesome
that's
that
what's
you found a
possible.
way to connect over that. Because you're right that everyone, a lot of moms were just like, screens are, really difficult, and we try to,
Hmm.
become enemies of the screen. But it is, yeah, video games. Like my husband is really into video games, so I get there's something about them. So it's great that you kind of dove into that and made sure to keep the connection going instead of, so many kids can get lost in that world and be kind of
Yeah.
isolated. So that's really great. We talked. I feel like some of these conversations about stay-at-home motherhood just sound so like it's just so difficult and hard. I wondered if you could give me just like a moment or two that you remember or we can reflect on that was just like, ah, this is worth it. This is why I do this. Do you have moments like
Oh,
that?
oh yes, there are so many. Um, I always made a point of being a really messy mom, like the kind of mom who could embrace messes
Mm-hmm.
and um, making pancakes with my kid or making cookies and just like being a stay-at-home mom gave me the time and the space to slow down enough to do projects with my kid or cooking with my kid or things, adventures with my kid at his pace.
Mm-hmm.
And like we've done a lot of cooking and baking together. And this morning, like he got up and he made waffles on his own and he brought me in a plate of waffles.
Oh,
It was
nice.
like, it was really sweet.
That's
And
awesome.
so that's one example. Another one is like he and I had a lot of adventures. We would go down to Alameda Beach or we would take the ferry or we would go see the Christmas lights in downtown San Francisco or we would go camping in the redwoods. We would have loads of adventures and it was such a privilege and a joy to be able to like have the time and space to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing. And then the last thing is like there's also the daily moments where like he'll like still crawl up to me and or like curl into me and like we'll just cuddle for a few minutes. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like he was 4 or 8.
Yeah.
And um, I'm really, really glad that I allowed myself, no matter how hard it was, to have the time and space to enjoy all of his different ages.
Thank you for sharing that. My audience is a lot of, moms with young ones, and I'm a mom with a
Hmm.
young one. So it's
Yeah.
great to hear kind of the positive side of things too. So thank you. Um, Velma, it was really great hearing your story. Thank you so much for sharing. Can you just remind the audience one more time where they can find you and how you can help them?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me at mamamabel.com, MAMAMAVEL.com. And I do parent coaching and like the next phase of my business is helping moms learn how to love being a mom and a woman at the same time. So that's a whole other conversation about like mom identity and being a woman and like how we can lose being a woman, how we can come back to that and still be a mom at the same time. Like that is so, so important to me.
Yeah, you
And
kind of find yourself wearing pajamas and, um, dirty whatever all the time.
yeah,
I could see how you lose yourself a little. Cool. Thanks again so much for sharing. I think the audience will get a lot from that.
I hope so. I hope so. Thank you so much for what you're doing. And I don't know. I think the stay-at-home mom podcast is a great idea. And if you need other stay-at-home moms, I know a few of them.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.